We hope you had a healthy summer, and we will get started. Our goal is to keep this meeting direct and quick and get everybody back home at a decent time. So, do I start with my?
Oh, no, you can go to public gallery.
Okay.
Because you have a number of people.
All right, great. So we're going to go right into public gallery. Do we have anybody here that would like to speak? And just to remind everybody, there's a 3-minute maximum to speak, and we will be timing it. Okay, great. Do we have anybody? We can raise your hand. Anybody that would like to speak as part of the? Okay, we have.
Open the chat and the participant. You can see that.
Virginia Sanders.
Oh, right. Esther Morrison.
Okay, Esther Morrison, you're up.
Good evening. I just wanted to, I'm Esther Morrison. I'm with the Barnes Avenue neighbors. We had got flooded with Tropical Storm Ida. I wanted to thank City Councilman Kevin Riley and Alina Doe from the mayor's office who, and Speaker Carl Hasty, who came down to our community and kept up with us, and City Councilman Kevin Riley and Alina Doe was able to help our block 220th from Barnes Avenue at least get the street drains cleaned, which hadn't been cleaned in so many years. We haven't had heavy rain currently, but we had a heavy rain before and we got flooded this year in, I believe it was July. And then they cleaned the drains after that. So I want to thank them for pushing at least that along. Some of our neighbors still have a lot of questions, but there's one thing that Controller Brad Landis said out on the anniversary of September 1 this year about the abasement board, and working with your community board is why I'm speaking up right now. He's saying that a lot of homeowners have illegal apartments in their cellar and their basements, and that they making an initiative to help us with that. And that you have to work with your community board, and I'm hoping that you guys would help our neighbors, because they're saying that they will help us with an architect and some of the technical assistance we was asking for when we got flooded by the tropical storm. And today, as I was talking with my neighbors, they're like, we don't want it to happen again. And we don't want to wait till it happens again before that technical assistance starts. So we can't afford an architect on our own, but if there is a service where there would be that type of technical assistance, then I'm wondering and hoping that Community Board 12 would work with us. And all the other communities that in this Northeast Bronx that got affected.
Thank you, Esther. Next, we have Robert McCool.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much for having me tonight. My name is Robert McCool, and I'm the Director of Homeownership Programs at the nonprofit Neighbors Helping Neighbors. We serve all of New York City, and I just wanted to briefly mention our foreclosure prevention program for homeowners. We can help struggling homeowners with mortgage loan modifications and mortgage refinancing, help with property tax arrears and water arrears, and basically any other financial hardships. I have my contact information in the chat box. I also wanted to highlight a new program called Barrio Solar. It's a program to make solar power more affordable for homeowners in New York City. We have a $6,000 down payment assistance grant and a buyer's club to help make solar panel installations more affordable. We have a dedicated website, which is barriosolar.com. We currently are, we have the buyer's club is very active, and we are currently working to recruit installers with installations hoping to begin in the next couple of months. So thank you for your time. My full contact information is also in the chat box. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert. Do we have anybody else for the public gallery session? Please raise your hands if you do. We're going to go to Virginia Sanders.
Okay.
Yes, this is Virginia Sanders, Wakefield Taxpayers Civic League. It's my understanding that our next meeting for October will be at your office. I want to invite everybody to come out and participate with the Wakefield Taxpayers Civic League. We're still trying to help you and help each other to keep our community together as one accord, all of us working together. And we want to continue to do that. Want to work with the community and the community board, and we want to keep things together for the Wakefield area as well as our neighbors. So please come out for our October meeting, which will be in person and hopefully virtual also at your community board office. Thank you very much for allowing me to speak.
Thank you so much, Virginia. Anyone else? Patricia, you're next.
Thank you for the opportunity. My name is Patricia McDowell, and I'm with the 3100 block of Edson Avenue in the Bronx between Burke and Hammersley. And recently, we have a lot of sighting of rodents in our community. And we'd like to, we need some help, and we want to know what can we do to resolve this problem.
Thank you, Patricia.
Uh-huh.
Anyone else? I think we had, Nicole, did you raise your hand? And just before we get into that, just for our community board members, just to remind you that you have to be on camera the entire time to be counted as virtual. So please make sure, our community members, that your cameras are on.
May I speak?
Anyone else before we move on to the next section? Nicole, are you here with us?
I am.
Go ahead, Nicole. You have 3
Thank
minutes.
you. Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. My name is Nicole Tuzin. I'm the executive director at Dance Wave. We are a nonprofit dance education organization located in Brooklyn, but serving all 5 boroughs, including many schools in the Bronx. I'm here to share a little bit about our organization tonight. I'll drop in the chat a link to information on our organization. But in short, wanted to let you know that we have a tuition-free program for young artists who are interested in dance. And I can include my contact information in the chat as well. And this is a free opportunity for students who are seeking professional training, pre-professional training with renowned choreographers. And we would love to have dancers from the Bronx join us for that, or for any of our other programs for that matter as well. So thank you for your time. Lovely to see all of you tonight, and I'll drop my info in the chat. Thank you.
Thank you. And just to remind everybody, whatever complaints you may have, please make sure that you reach out to Ursula and George here at the board. So I believe it was Patricia that spoke about the rodents. Just make sure you put in your complaint.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, anyone else before we move on to our next item of the agenda? Okay, all right, so now we're gonna move on to item number 2, elected officials, representatives reports. Who would like to go first?
Sure. Good evening, everyone. My name is Carlos Torres. I'm the Crime Prevention Coordinator at the Bronx District Attorney's Office. Just want to not introduce myself because I've done it out last year, but just to let everyone know that our office will be hosting its 5th annual 5K Run Walk Road to End Domestic Violence. That event is taking place Saturday, October 15th. From 9:30 to 12:30, and I apologize. I have my daughter here. That's why I don't have my camera on. She wants my attention to build Legos. But long story short, I just emailed George and Ursula, Ms. Green, the flyers for the event. It's in English and in Spanish. Once again, my name is Carlos Torres, Crime Prevention Coordinator, Office of the Bronx District Attorney. I put my name and contact information in the chat box. If anyone has any questions, please feel free to reach out to me.
Thank you, Carlos.
You're welcome.
Now we're going to move on to Tajay Goins from Speaker Carl Hasty's office.
Hi, my name is Tajay. Just go by Taj. I'm pretty new with the Assemblyman office. Just want to introduce myself. I'm the new community liaison. I look forward to working with everyone in the community. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we're going to move on to Hillary Bosch from Department of Sanitation.
Composting Programs and Partnerships Unit. Just here to tell everybody that the special fall leaf collection will again be held this year on November 27th and December 11th. So make sure to put out your fall leaves in leaf bags or unlined bins the night before. If you're here in person, there are leaf bags here at the event, and then you can also get them at a variety of DSNY events coming up. And also, you can compost all year round using our map of food scrap drop-off sites. Thanks.
Thank you. And now we're going to move on to Teresa Roberts. She did? I don't think so. Teresa Roberts with CEC. Okay.
You go to Greer.
We're going to move on to Greer
Mayhew.
Mayhew from the Controller's Office.
Hello, good evening. This is Greer Mayhew from the New York City Comptroller's Office. We do have a few updates for everyone. The first one is that the Comptroller, along with Mayor Adams, announced that the city will issue approximately $400 million of taxable general obligation social bonds in October of this year. The proceeds from the sale of these bonds will support more than 3,000 units of affordable housing, and with the plan to provide New Yorkers the safe, high-quality, affordable homes that they deserve. The bonds will finance projects currently in development under the New York City Department of Housing Preservation and Development's HPD, extremely low and low-income affordability program, supportive housing loan program, and senior affordable rental apartments program. Also, I would like to mention that our office yesterday released a report which described observations of building doors in NYCHA developments throughout the city. The report found examples where doors were propped open with objects, door locks did not securely latch onto door frames, and in some cases appeared that the door and frame magnets intended to assist in securing the doors were missing or did not work. In the report, we provided recommendations, including obviously fixing damaged locks and intercoms and keys, along with NYCHA conducting a review of security and maintenance systems and procedures to ensure that exterior doors are working properly. Lastly, I would like to mention that one of the responsibilities of the Comptroller is to provide audits of city agencies. We are working on doing an audit of NYCHA. We are currently asking residents to fill out a survey called Resident Powered Audits to help our office determine what parts of NYCHA should be audited. The deadline is the end of this month, and you can access the surveys on our website. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me, 929-512-1647. Thank you very much.
For those that are here in person, if you can just make sure that we have your contact information so that we can put it in the chat. Thank you. And then next we'll move on to Alexis. Would you like the floor? For Madam
Hi.
Borough President's Office?
Yes. Give me 1 second. I just want to turn my camera on. Okay. I think I'm good. Good evening, everyone. I hope that everyone is doing well and staying safe. The latest Borough President's report has been emailed. If anyone has not received it, I will place the link in the chat. I just want to say congratulations again to the new board members on Community Board 12. Please fill out the EEO policy form if you have not done so already. And now I just want to take the time to say thank you to Ms. Barbara Gibson for serving 20 years on Community Board 12. Your hard work and dedication to the community may never be matched. May this next chapter of your life bring you happiness and fulfillment. If anyone has any questions for me, please feel free to reach out to me. I'm going to place my contact info in the chat. And thank you all. I'll be here for the remainder of the meeting.
Thank you, Alexis. Anyone else? Cynthia, I see you're on with Councilmember Riley's office. Would you like the floor?
Sure, can you hear me?
Yes, we hear you.
All right, awesome. So hey everyone, it's Cynthia from Councilmember Kevin Riley's office. Just want to know Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Both of our offices are open. The one located in Community Board 12 is the 940 East Gun Hill Road office. Our phone number is 718-684-5509. The best way to connect with us would be through the phone or through email, but I also want to highlight our link tree where you can sign up for our mailing list to know about events that are happening, request changes from DOT, report 301 issues, and that would be www.linktr.ee/CM Kevin C. Riley. And actually, I want to thank the community board team for just the work that they've been doing. They've been partnering with us. We were able to do a very successful rain barrel distribution. All right, there seems to be some interference. Can you still hear me?
Yes, we still hear you, Cynthia.
Okay. So yes, we had a very successful rain barrel distribution. Very happy to help set up the community with some rain barrels, and we're actually going to be having another event with Community Board 12 on Friday, October 14th from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m., where we're going to be doing solicitation for ideas for the upcoming cycle of participatory budgeting. We've been very happy to have participatory budgeting and bring it to the district. So we're going to be doing that. Stay tuned on the other sites. We will be releasing that tomorrow.
Thank you, Cynthia.
No problem.
Next up, we have Teresa Roberts with CEC.
Hello. Hi. My name is Teresa Roberts. I'm the president for Community Education Council for District 11. Thank you so much for having me this evening. I'm just really wanting to really engage with the community boards, start a strong partnership with the community boards, especially the education portion of the community boards, because I feel like together we need your help to be able to kind of elevate the voices of the parents. One of the things that is a struggle due to the pandemic and even before the pandemic was just making sure that our parents are aware of everything that is going on and to let them know that they're much needed and their voices, their input to just really help create a new educational system for our children is necessary. Their voices on how to keep our schools safe is necessary. How to move our schools' infrastructures to be updated, better resourced, better staffed, more equitable, and more reflective of our actual communities. We need to build these and forge these relationships together to show not just by talk but by example to our children how in this diverse district we're capable of working together, we're capable of pouring in to our own, and also coming up with various ways to make our schools more attractive so that our families could want to stay in the DOE and stay in the district. Thank you once again for allowing me to just come here tonight to just address you guys, to just really let you know how much we do need you. We do need your support, especially as we advocate for our schools. Their infrastructures, we're re-looking at the zoning, and we're reconsidering programming and what makes sense at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other elected official reports? Harmony, I see that you're on from Senator Bailey's office. Would you like to speak?
Hi, everyone. Good evening. I'm very glad to be here tonight. I just wanted to highlight a few events that we have coming up. So this Saturday, we do have a Caribbean Culture and Labor Union celebration, and that's from 1 to 4 p.m. We will also be having a virtual and in-person mental health awareness forum and panel on Thursday, September 29th, and that's at the Northeast Bronx YMCA, and we will be partnering with our chair here. And so we really encourage everyone to please RSVP at the link that's provided in the chat, and to also sign up for our email newsletter. And feel free to reach out to our office if you have any questions or concerns.
I'm really excited to be taking part in this panel, so I encourage you all. We talk about resources and mental health within our district, and so this is a perfect opportunity for you to take the time to invite others that you may feel can benefit from this. So thank you, Harmony. Totally looking forward to participating in that. Now we'll move on to Senator Biaggi's office.
Hi there. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Good evening, everybody, and also congratulations to the new board members. My update is very short and sweet, but I really hope that everybody had a nice summer and is doing well. It's also the first day of fall, so this means that my office is actually getting to work to plan our annual Feeding the Bronx Food Empowerment Fair, and that is a fair that we do right before we distribute turkeys and fresh produce and other community resources. And so this will be around the time of Thanksgiving, probably the week right before. So if there's anybody who wants to join us, get involved, be a partner, we would really love to have you. Last year we had it at the Huntington Free Library. We're hoping that it will be there again this year, but we don't know yet. So please definitely inquire with us if you'd like to do that. In addition to that, I'm really looking forward next week to participating in Bronx Healthy Starts Infant Mortality Awareness Health Resources Fair and also panel discussion. I was able to join last year with CB12, and it was really one of the highlights of the year because I was able not just to hear from a lot of the different health professionals from the community, but community members and their experiences, which were frankly tragic and definitely sparked a tremendous amount of motivation this past legislative session around legislation and also around funding. And so I'm really looking forward to this one that's coming up next week. Leading up to the event in November, we are also going to be doing an award ceremony. So in case anybody does not know, every year each senator gets about 100+ awards that they are allowed to give to members in their community. And this ranges from things to proclamations, which everybody knows a lot about, to things like a commendation award or a liberty award. And these are awards that really go to members of the community for different reasons. It could go to members because they've been giving or showing an exemplary effort on different issues like food insecurity or hosting events or just really being somebody who stands out. And so we really do encourage as an office to consider your recommendations for people in the community that you really think that we should consider in these different award categories. Angela, who is on it's not a Zoom, unfortunately, on this virtual meeting, is gonna drop the link in the chat so that if there are people that you want to nominate, we really do encourage you to do that. And it would really mean a lot to us if you were able to do that too. This will be in October again, towards the end, most likely October 26th. Lastly, just as a reminder, and Angela will put this information in the chat, we are, of course, providing our usual full service of constituent services. And so if there's anything that you need, please do not hesitate to contact my team, myself, email, Instagram, Twitter, many different ways, lots of different issues come in. But please make sure that you reach out to us. That information will also go into the chat. But I'm really looking forward to this fall and to all the things that we have planned.
Thank you so much, Senator Biaggi. Always a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Any other elected official or representative reports?
Hi, good night, everyone. It's Sabrina from Councilmember Dinowitz's office. Can you hear me?
Hi, Sabrina. Welcome.
I'm sorry, my camera can't be on out with family at the moment, but I just want to say again, congratulations to all of the new board members and happy fall. I'll be quick. Throughout the summer in District 11, we hosted several shred events. One in particular was in Wakefield on White Plains Road. Our monthly Nourish program for older adults, 65 years and older, will continue, and that is going to be on September 28th from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. Unfortunately, Common Pantry cannot enroll any new participants as they are on a freeze for new enrollment, but you can be placed on the waiting list. In collaboration with the Women of Woodlawn and DOT, we hosted a helmet giveaway during the Woodlawn Family Day. And over the course of the summer, Councilmember Dinowitz met with principals to discuss the school budgets and kind of get a sense of additional needs for students and parents as well as the teachers. Very exciting, in October, we will be visiting the Matilda School in our efforts to build relationship with the school community and explore ways to allocate more funding. We also hosted, speaking of schools, we hosted 3 Family Day back to school events across District 11. In Wakefield, we hosted it at PS 16 in collaboration with Councilmember Riley and fashion designer Muggsy McFly. It was a really great event, and we will continue to do those annually. One other thing that I want to mention in my report is that our office is well aware of the ongoing quality of life issues throughout Wakefield, the commercial vehicles on Webster Avenue and on the Reed Avenue Bridge, as well as dumping. And back in July with DOT, we installed cameras on Bullard between the Reed and 236th, as well as Webster Avenue and East Gun Hill Road to East 233rd. Our hope is that these cameras will help with the dumping, and will help to mitigate the dumping. Upcoming on my agenda is meeting with the management for the Speedway gas station on Bronx Boulevard. Our office has received several complaints about litter and just the way that the gas station is maintained. So I am in the works to secure a date and a time for that meeting with management. The Parks Department, we received a complaint about like curb your dog stations throughout Wakefield. I was able to touch base with the Parks Department, and they will install mitt/mutt stations along the perimeter of Wakefield Playground. If you would like to see those throughout District 11 or in Wakefield and Woodlawn, please reach out to our office so that I can share that with the Parks Department. Also, and second to last on my report is if there are any graffiti removal requests that you all have, please call our office. I just want to note that if the graffiti is on a business, that we will need the permission of that owner in order to have ACE, which is an organization that Councilmember Dinowitz allocates funding to remove the graffiti. Finally, on October 1st, we will be joining Wakefield for Change for a community cleanup. Very excited for that, and I hope to see some of you all. And that's all from our office. Thank you. The council member is also on as well.
Hello, everyone.
Thank you,
Good to-
Sabrina.
Good to virtually see all of you. This is Council Member Eric Dinowitz. I hope you're all doing well. I know Sabrina gave a great update on some of the things we're funding, some of the things we're doing. With the last thing, we actually allocated more funding for cleanup services because it was so popular and we got such incredible feedback from it. So we increased the funding 20% for the cleanup services that I was able to allocate money for. The only additional update I want to give is about redistricting. Over the course of the past number of months, my office, we did a Zoom, a community forum education, and I and Councilmember Stevens, she and I co-chair the Bronx delegation. We organized a borough-wide education forum in 8 different languages on redistricting. A few months ago, Redistricting Commission, every 10 years, the council lines get redrawn based on census data. And a few months ago, the Redistricting Commission came back with a map that removed Wakefield from District 11 and put it completely in District 12. A lot of people in Wakefield, a lot of people in Community Board 12 reached out to me, and they were not pleased with that change. So I brought together a lot of the Bronx members, Councilmember O'Reilly, Councilmember Sanchez, Councilmember Stevens, Councilmember Felice, try to say, like, what do we know our constituents want to see in lines? And so we all submitted testimony, and the Redistricting Commission redrew the maps based on my feedback and also your feedback and community feedback. And it put part of Wakefield back in District 11, which reflected what a number of the residents wanted. Today, the commission was set to vote up or down the maps that they drew. So the commission, 15 members, drew these maps, and they voted their own maps down. So the commission has to go back and redraw the maps to something that they can vote yes on. My understanding, this all just happened today, and I was down at City Hall, then I came back to the district, then I went back to City Hall, now I'm back in the district. So I haven't had a ton of time to read everything and talk to everyone, but my understanding is that they're going to be having more public meetings starting after Rosh Hashanah, which is starting next Wednesday, and tweaking the maps. It appears that a lot of the issue, and I don't know this is just what I'm reading, but what the newspaper report says that a lot of the issue has to do with the Staten Island district and getting those 3 council members all within Staten Island. But that's just what, the city and state says. I don't know if that's accurate, but either way, I'm going to continue to make sure that the lines, at least as it relates to the Bronx, reflect what you all want. And I encourage everyone here to write into the Districting Commission to make sure that your voices are heard. And if you want more information, you can certainly reach out to my office and we'll provide you with more information or a YouTube link to one of the 2 community forums we did on this.
Thank you, Councilmember Dinowitz, for keeping us informed. Anyone else? Any other elected officials or representatives? Eddie Espaillat with Congressman Bowman's office, you're next. Edie?
Thank you, ma'am. I apologize for my camera. It's not working currently. My name is Adili Espaillat, and I am the Director of Constituent Services and Immigration Specialist for Congressman Jamal Bowman. We are here to provide a few updates. Our offices are fully open. Our Mount Vernon office is actually working from Tuesday to Fridays from 9 to 5. Our Co-op City office, which is in the Bronx, it's currently open from Tuesday to Thursday from 9 to 5, and it's fully staffed. I'll be brief with the update. This upcoming Saturday, our office will be hosting our 2nd career fair in Yonkers. I will be sharing the news information with you all. It's in Spanish and English, and it's posted on all of the social media platforms. Also, I would like to take the time to honor and the congressman is issuing a proclamation to Miss Barbara Gibson, who is here today, and I would like to take a few minutes to issue this proclamation. Miss Barbara Gibson, whereas Barbara Gibson LeGrand, Mary, founder and CEO of Alpha Boogie Down Bronx, Uptown Baby LLC, was greatly passionate about serving her community. When it comes to the Bronx, Barbara's true passion was to be part of Bronx Community Board 12, learning from and serving the community. And whereas Barbara Gibson was Center Director of NYCHA for many years working with children, this inspired her to write her second book entitled 1, 2, 3 Manners and Etiquette and Self-Esteem for You and Me. This book is a building block for children who are building their social life and self-skills. At the age of 82, Barbara broke kids there's a virus in the land, and whereas Barbara has written for the following publications: The Bronx Times, The Bronx Uptown Express, The Bronx Voice. She is the most proud of article published its time manner. Barbara was also part of King's Talk and April Show, but her proudest moment was during the filming of the documentary Alfred, The Life of Miss Gibson. And whereas Barbara designed the M&E plush napkin set design for the workshop classes she teaches in the Bronx. She enjoyed teaching MIE workshops where she got to work with Girl Scouts, dance troops, cheerleaders, basketball team, and pre-K children's. And now, therefore, on behalf of Congressman Jamal Bowman in the Congressional District 16 of New York, do hereby the honors and recognize the commitment, leadership, and care that Barbara Gibson has brought to our community. Barbara Gibson is an integral part of our community as she continues to uplift the residents of New York 16th Congressional District throughout her word and teaching. Ms. Barbara Gibson, thank you so much for all your hard work and dedication. And I apologize, the congressman is not here to present this award, but with all of our heart, we are thankful for all the work that you have done. Thank you so much, Ms. Barbara Gibson. And thank you all for giving us the time to present the proclamation. I will be dropping my information in the chat.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Edie. Thank you, Ms. Gibson, for your service, and we will miss you. And now I will go on. Oh, would you like to say a few words, Ms. Gibson?
At the end, not now.
Okay. All right. So we're going to move right along to my report, no real report right now, more to review a few things. I would like to review the hybrid model. First of all, welcome everybody. It's a brand new year. We're here really for a purpose, and just reminding everyone that we volunteer our time, but time is money, and so let's make the best of it and really gather collectively to shift this community to the next level, which we all are really impassioned about. And so I wanted to go over the hybrid model, and just to clarify a few things, that the hybrid model was put in place. We passed a resolution. However, we really have to be back to in-person. And so I wanted to review what is some of the stipulations, really, right? So first of all, we need a quorum, and I want to point out that we are a board of 38 members, so we need 20 members here present to vote. When you're virtual, you're not allowed to vote. It doesn't count, and so we do need you to keep that in mind, that we do need everybody to participate in person. And so I'll go over the extraordinary circumstances, which include, but are not limited to, disability, limited mobility, illness, caregiving responsibilities, seniors 65 and over, so for example, for work, if it's out of borough, if you're traveling for work, that's allowed. Any other significant or unexpected events, which precludes the community board's members' physical attendance at the meeting. And even with that said, we do know that emergencies just come up, right? They're not planned, but our hope is that you would let us know if you're not able to make it at least 2 days in advance. So if we meet on Thursdays, Monday would be ideal. Tuesday really is the limit because again, if there's a matter that needs voting on, and if we don't have that quorum, then we won't be able to, right? And again, those are the things that we need to keep in mind. Cameras must be on as well. So if you're a board member and you have an excused permission to attend virtually, then one of these stipulations is that your camera has to be on the entire time. Any questions?
Hi, yes, I have a question. One thing that I just would like to get clarification on is that the vote doesn't count if you're not present. Is that true? Because I thought that you have to have an in-person quorum, but people who are participating virtually because of those slew of reasons are still eligible to vote on resolutions.
Yes, if we have a quorum and you're on camera. So your vote will count, but we have to have 20 people here. So I also understand that the Borough President's Office is going to add more people to our board, so our quorum number is going to go up. It's not going to stay stuck at 20. So tonight we have 14 in person. How many virtually? 15 in virtual. 10 let us knew in advance that they were not going to be participating in person. So for everybody else, you have to let us know so that we can notify the community that you're going to be participating virtually. But the chair is absolutely right. You have to be on camera. So we have several board members that their cameras are not working. Their vote, for example, Luke, would not count if they voted because they're not on camera.
And one follow-up. Since we don't have a quorum, are there restrictions of what kind of business we can conduct today?
No votes, that's all.
Thank you, Luke. Good questions. Anyone else? Okay, so now I want to take the time also to recognize our new board members. Welcome, and we're super excited to connect and work together. We have Dr. Sherry Samuels. We have Ms. Deborah Walker, Mr., and pardon me if I'm mispronouncing your name, Benga Suber. Did I say that right? Ms. Desiree Campbell, Mr. Ryan Walters, Ms. Queenie Paniagua. Welcome, and we're happy to have you on board. And now we're going to move on to the district manager's report.
Okay, it's on. Good evening, board members. Happy Thursday and welcome back. I hope you all had a great summer. We were busy this summer and we received some news. So let me begin by welcoming our newest board members and thanking all of my board members for participating this evening. There may be a little awkwardness tonight as we are meeting in person for the first time in almost 2.5 years. For some of us, this is the first time we're seeing each other in the flesh. I mentioned earlier that we had an active summer. The community board was notified in early August of a family shelter coming to Tilden Street. The community board hosted a meeting with DHS and local residents on August 9th via the WebEx platform. Additionally, the community board was notified this past weekend of another shelter reopening to address the migrant crisis within our district. Just this morning, Mayor Eric Adams sent out a press release about using Orchard Beach for Humanitarian Emergency Response and Relief Centers, or HERC for short. They will be run by the Health and Human Services Agency, and they are, just to give an example, they are like field hospitals, the big white tents with cots inside. They're going to be used to process. They're opening several. My understanding is they're opening one in every borough, but for the Bronx, it's going to be in Orchard Beach. You should also know, Pelham Bay Park is a part of our jurisdiction, as that's how Judges Row connects to our community board. So it's for those of you who are familiar with Judges Row, it connects through on the northeastern side on through Pelham Bay Park. So with that, moving forward, we need to have direct and honest conversations about how to deal with the issues that will continue to confront us as a community board. Much of this conversation needs to happen at the committee level. We will continue to ask questions of DHS and hold them accountable about the actions they have taken to address the homelessness crisis. And in conclusion, today marks my 2,607th day as your district manager, or 7 years, 1 month, and 19th day of my tenure. I am grateful for each and every day at the board. Thank you for your patience, and good night. The one thing I will say, I just want to acknowledge the appointment of Benga Subir, because when I first arrived here 7 years ago, Benga was coming to all of our meetings. He was a constituent. He had a problem with traffic on Baychester. He was actually very instrumental. John Isaac and our transportation committee came through with the traffic reduction on Baychester Avenue. It actually stretches from one side of Baychester, from the Highway 95 all the way to the other side. So it's really a proud moment. I won't say that I'm emotional, but I'm very grateful for the fact that after 7.5 long years, Benga is finally on the board. And I appreciate your patience, man.
That's the energy we need, Benga. That's the energy we need. Thank you, George. One thing I forgot to mention is that we do have to start keeping in mind, and that we've spoken about in the last year, is about condensing committees. Currently, we have 14, and so while during the pandemic, we were meeting virtually, and it made it a lot easier for us to meet virtually regularly. But unfortunately, a lot of our committees did not have a lot of members that were attending, so that is something that we will be reviewing, how to condense committees so that we're working more effectively and using our time more effectively. So we will be putting out a plan, and again, addressing it with everybody and voting on it, and possibly amending our bylaws. So I just wanted to share that. And now we will be moving on to Ms. Haleen, financial report.
Hi, good evening, family. How are you? I can't tell you how happy I am to see everybody's face. Nothing much to report as far as financial situations go. We're still at 2,625 in the Sunshine Fund. We had 34 members at that time, and 30 members participated. They showed up and showed out wonderfully. So if anyone else still needs to put in their participation, please let me know. You have my information. It's in the chat. And anybody who, I think her name was Miss Roberts, just a little line in here. She was CEC. I put my information in the chat as well for the Education Committee. Thank you. Stay blessed, and please stay safe. Thanks, Alfredo.
So good seeing you. Thank you. Moving right along, we're making good time. So now we're going to go into our next item. I don't have any old business. We don't have any old business to discuss, but if any of you do, let us know. Raise your hand. Yes. Let's go to Ms. Keisha.
I just have one thing. We will be revisiting our newsletter. I will be in touch with the executive committee about any information that they'd like to highlight from our last year that we'd want to put in the newsletter this year. And to our new board members, and it seems like Benga would be the ideal person, I would like to highlight a new member in the newsletter. And I think given what George just shared, you would be the ideal person. So I'll be in touch with you about, a little snippet about you and maybe a photo. So look out for that email, executive committee.
Thank you for continuing that, Keisha. It's definitely needed. Any new business? Anyone virtually? Luke, go ahead.
Hi, sorry about that. So I have just a couple, that was the MTA subway. I lost my bike on the train. So I'm trying to get it back. Hopefully they'll call back. Just a few things. So one, the Orchard Beach temporary migrant shelters. I read a little bit about that today, and I think we should all kind of keep our ears open because we want to make sure that people are being treated humanely. We have a right to shelter law in New York City, and I've heard some people say, like, I don't know if tents kind of fit under that description. So we want to make sure people are being kept out of the cold with warmth, with access to food, and everything like that. So we should all kind of keep aware of that. We've had a lot of transit improvements in our area, in our district, in the past few months, in the past year, and they've been really great. One of them is the scooter, e-scooter access program, which I use frequently. I have the stats right here. It's as of August 12th, 2022, it's had a total of 950,000 rides. Miles traveled 1.02 million miles. This is only for the East Bronx. Unique users, over 80,000 people. The top destinations, coming in number 2 is Williamsbridge, our neighborhood. So this is a great program. We can see that people are using it a lot, but I'd like to flag for our elected officials and the Department of Transportation something that I think is not being looked at very well, and that's the discounted prices for low-income New Yorkers. The contracts that the Department of Transportation has with Bird, Lime, and VO say that if you receive and qualify for any local, state, or federal assistance programs such as SNAP, NYCHA, discounted utility bill, you receive access to these e-scooters at a reduced rate. I have a friend who qualifies, but their Lime is continually putting them at the premium rate and is not applying these discounts. I think this is something that I've reported to the comptroller. Every time DOT has a survey, I report it, but this is something that seems like it's price gouging the people who need access to low-cost transportation the most. And I think our elected officials, if they're listening, should review, it's called the e-scooter access program. And I don't think these companies are honoring their agreements that the city has. Finally, we have a new bike lane on White Plains Road, and every single day when I walk to the train, it's lined with cars. So if we're gonna have accessible transportation options, we're gonna have to create a space where we can use them. We have done that. We have these bike lanes. We've voted to approve them. Let's get the city to actually enforce it so people have a safe place to ride. So that's White Plains Road, just north of Gun Hill. Thanks so much.
Luke, I have a question, and I think you answered it on the e-scooter. I also have Lime, and I use it from time to time. It's an app. These are all app-based uses. So I don't recall when I first signed up. Is there a checkoff that says you can qualify for these low discount fares?
Well, it's really hard to find. You have to know what you're looking for. Their websites don't ask proactively, hey, do you qualify for any of these? You have to know the terminology, Lime access, and you have to put in your financial information. And then if the app starts charging you at the incorrect rate, you have to fight it every single transaction, which, a lot of these trips are like trips to the hardware store for a screwdriver, and nobody wants to do that every single time. So I feel like a lot of New Yorkers are being ripped off a little bit, when they qualify for these programs. So it's something that the app doesn't implement it on your total account. You have to fight every single transaction. But I'm totally in support of the program. I think it needs to expand to the West Bronx too. Thanks.
All right, that's something, we actually have budget consultations. The chair is a part of it. with the agencies. DOT, I believe we're meeting with them Monday, yeah. So I'll raise this issue with them on Monday.
Okay, thanks. And if you want me to put this in writing, I can too. Okay.
We appreciate that energy, Luke. Keep it coming. Okay, and so anyone else with new business? Okay. Okay, one last thing I do, and then Ms. Gibson, if you would like to talk after this. I just want to encourage you to check our website. There's a list of our new executive officers. We have Mr. Clinton Mike as first vice chair, John Isaac as second vice chair, Judith Benitez as corresponding secretary, Ms. Michelle Broomfield as recording secretary, and Ms. Talene Dickerson as treasurers. And then the rest of your names as board members is on there as well, so I just encourage you to use our website. Also, committees, I will be reaching out to all of you to just kind of get a feel for what your interests are so that we can begin assigning you to committees. And then as we condense them, you'll be part of more than one, but we'll talk about that more. But just start thinking of what are your interests, look at our standing committees and see what you would like to participate in, and I'll be connecting with you shortly on that. And that's it for me, Ms. Gibson.
Yes,
Hello, Barbara. Before you start, did you want me to read the letter now? Barbara?
Can you hear me?
We can hear you now, yes. Do you want me to read the letter?
Yes, please.
Okay, I'll read it and then you can go. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
This is a letter that Ms. Gibson sent to me, Barbara Gibson LeGrand, and she wanted me to read it. I'd like to announce that I will be resigning as of this evening, Bronx Community Board 12 meeting on September 22nd, 2022. I want to thank the board for their support over the past 20 years. You have all shown incredible fortitude as we have faced extraordinary challenges. I'm proud to have worked with the Community Board 12 and all of its members. While I am moving on to a new opportunity, I will forever be grateful to Community Board 12 for all I have learned during my tenure as a member to the Northeast Community Board 12. I'm confident that Community Board 12 will be in capable hands going forward. To lose many members and acquaintances, I do not wish to leave anyone out, so I'm not calling out any names. Just remember my name and remember how I represented myself as a community board member, and may the members that remain do the same. It's been a pleasure, and to those that know my feelings, you know I appreciate you. Thank you very much for everything. Barbara Gibson LeGrand.
I want to thank you, George, and I want to thank the board and our new board leader. And I want to thank the borough president, Vanessa Gibson, and Councilman Bowman. It's been a pleasure, and my new venture will be my bucket list. One item I have on there is my new book I'm writing entitled 1, 2, 3, Manners and Etiquette and Self-Esteem, for the children to know and learn in a quick and to the point. And I just want to thank everyone. And to be 82 years of age, it's been a blessing. And may you all go strong and work for the Northeast Bronx community. Thank you all. Good night.
Thank you so much, Ms. Gibson. Anyone else would like to say something before we adjourn and before our first vice chair leads us in prayer? Deacon Brown?
Good evening, everyone. I'm here this evening to represent my neighbors and the community. They asked me to bring this to the board attention. See? The board attention, I stated, while parties on weekend Okay. I said my neighbors and the community complain about wild parties on weekends, and it goes on until daybreak. They call the police several times, no result. So I'm bringing this to the board attention. Also, mechanic works being done on the street, abandoned vehicles, etc. Washing of cars from the hydrant. This used to be in the South Bronx, now it's moving up here. This depreciates the value of homeowners' property. And also, there's a law going on in Albany now that the police who lives out on the island, they're being paid by the taxpayers of New York. Mayor Dinkins tried it some years ago that they work in New York, they should live in New York. The wives doesn't shop in New York, their children doesn't go to school in New York, so they have no interest but to come and punch a card and go back out on the island. There's something need to be done about this. The people in the community are fed up. They're just fed up with what's going on in the community. This kind of condition doesn't go on in Riverdale. It doesn't go on in Pelham section, or not even Throsley area. What we go through here, it shouldn't happen. So I'll appreciate very much if the board will take it under consideration and do something about it. Thank you. Down that place called the Valley, Eli Avenue. Okay? And on 218th Street between White Plains and Barnes. Seniors complain they can't sleep, so they can't come to the meeting, so they asked me to represent them. Thank you.
Thank you.
When you were talking about the NYPD and their families having to live within the boroughs, if I'm not mistaken, I believe the state Senate introduced legislation, State Senator Kevin Parker introduced legislation where that would address that they should live within one of the 5 boroughs, the NYPD. I don't know where it's gone, but I know that there is legislation out there that speaks to the very issue that you raised.
Shaniqua?
Hi, good evening, everyone. I just wanted to formally congratulate Madam Chair Beatrice as our new chairwoman. Really excited to have a social worker and leadership, and happy for all that you're going to do and all the great work that you're already doing with the community board, and also wanted to formally welcome on all the new board members. I'm excited to get to know all of you, and just wanted to wish everyone a happy fall. Stay safe.
Thank you, Shaniqua. Okay, we are now going to adjourn, and our first, sure, go on, Anthony.
Hello. Hey, family. Welcome back. It's nice to see y'all. I just wanted to, basically, I want to see how we're going to be handling these shelters that's coming up and these buildings that's coming up. Is there any kind of way we can start looking at the spaces where they're coming, so we can basically be preparing for some actions, whether it's going to be there or not? You know what I mean? I'll take the pictures. I'll go take pictures of the sites. I volunteer that. I've been volunteering that, because there's a lot of buildings going up around here. There's a lot of stuff going on that people don't see until it's built. But what happens is you got to come to the community board meeting because it's steps for this stuff to happen. Like they wait till the building get built up, and how did this get here? What happened? You got to come to meetings, and right here is one of the places that you can come and get some of that information. So I'll volunteer myself if y'all want me to go and take pictures of the site, and so we can have a little bit more insight on it. I'll be willing to do that. So whatever you guys want to do. All right? Thank you.
Yeah, I think, thank you, Anthony, for that. Judith just whispered into my ear, the meeting that we had with DHS, for example, on the Tilden Street situation, it was actually revealing to me because we had the developer for that site, and he was telling us, he was like, oh, I give my whole portfolio over of buildings to DHS, and they make the decision. And DHS has long represented that they're the ones that they don't make those decisions. But again, when the developer told us that he said he had like 13 buildings, he gave them the portfolio. He was like, hey, any one of these 13 buildings can be a shelter or used as a shelter. And DHS, I guess, finally pulled the trigger, and they cited the one that they did. It's not open, so I guess we can speak about it. And that's the other thing. We were notified on Thursday of the migrants, I think it's called Sanctuary, thank you. Yes, the migrant sanctuary, but it has been occupied. And as a result of that, I'm then not allowed to divulge that because I try to share with the board everything that we get. I want to be transparent, and I want to send that stuff to you guys. So that's why we didn't share the address, because they have since opened it. But I will highlight actually something that Luke said that I didn't say in my initial statement. The migrant situation that's happening is these folks are asylum seekers. So it's a little different. They're not necessarily homeless. They're not the same as the people that are coming. That we have our own sort of homeless crisis going on, but these folks are being transported through no fault of their own to the city of New York, and we're trying to deal with it. And I mean, today's census, if we met with them this morning, we met with DHS at the borough board this morning, and I think they said it was 13,000.
Yes, no.
Yeah, so it is a very high number, and just remember that we're dealing with our own internal situation. So, to the point that you make, Anthony, yes, we have to be vigilant, and we try as a community board. Ursula and I try very hard whenever we get complaints about stuff, and we hear all the complaints. And all the things that are, there's a hotel being built on Bronx Boulevard, there's a hotel being built on Boston Road, that was once the funeral parlor. Once it's communicated to us or we see it, we start talking to our elected officials. So, your point is well taken, but I will just say, I think this is the stuff, as a community board, we really need to talk about it, and this is what I was talking about. We need to be able to meet these challenges head on. We shouldn't, talk, somewhere else. We should talk in committee. We should invite the public and the community to come and have these conversations with us about what's going to happen and what the future of this community board looks like. Deacon Brown, I know you had a question. Yes.
In reference to the developers, what, or if anything, we can do that developers that comes into our neighborhood, they circumvent the board and these buildings going up for shelters and all other things unknown to the board. What can we do to eliminate that?
So they addressed that this morning as well. As you are aware, the city of New York is, Luke pointed this out as well, we're the only municipality in the state of New York that has a mandate to shelter. This was born of several lawsuits, I want to say maybe in the 80s or 90s. It was like 3 different lawsuits that anybody, and the rule right now is anybody that comes into the city of New York requesting a shelter bed, they go into, if it's a family, they go into the EAU Center, which is located in the Bronx, I believe on 151st Street. If they get processed before 10 p.m., they are guaranteed a bed before, what is it? 4 a.m. They are not allowed to stay overnight in the EAU shelter. That is against the law. And so the city tries, you may have seen recently, several months ago, there was an article in the paper that said that we weren't meeting that mandate because we were getting such an influx. This was before the migrant crisis. Now, I think that's why you see the mayor's response this morning is the opening of those HERC centers, the humanitarian centers. They're going to have, it's basically going to be a processing center, and they're going to be able to process not just the families that come across, but basically anybody that gets flown here. So, and I mean, aside from being asylum seekers, we should also note that they're being, they're made into political pawns. Again, it's no fault of their own that they're being flown here or bused here. So, we have to be cognizant of that. But to speak to your issue, Deacon Brown, this is what, to me, and this is what I spoke to DHS today, it's the notification process. We need to know when these decisions are made and how these decisions are made. Because again, we're willing to do, and I think that the Bronx has done their fair share. Back in 2019, the city of New York had on its webpage a thing called the Turning the Tide map. And on the Turning the Tide map, you had what each borough and each community board was doing in terms of homeless shelters, cluster sites, and transient hotels that were used as homeless shelters. When Stephen Banks was the commissioner, they wanted to do away with the cluster sites. The cluster sites are the scattered site housing. Those were the independent apartments that were scattered throughout, and that's why they called it scatter site. They pick a building and take 5 apartments in that building, 10 apartments in another building, and so on and so forth. And they wanted to do away with that because, again, there were very negative stories because some of the conditions of these apartments in those apartment buildings were terrible. And I forget, I think the thing that brought it to light was there were some very young kids in a Hunts Point apartment that were scalded to death by a radiator. And that's sort of what spurred this whole thing to do away with the scatter site. But the point that I'm making on that is that back in 2019, when they were posting these maps, you could see that the Bronx had 154 shelters. Brooklyn, which was the next largest borough, had 126. And Manhattan had 104. And Queens had a significant number. But what I say is the Bronx is willing to do its fair share. We don't know because they give you a census every day of what the homeless population is, but they don't tell you where they're coming from. So, if we're doing 60% more than the next borough or the next largest borough, that to me seems unfair because there are some community boards up until recently, up until the last 2 years, had no shelters in those community boards. That has since changed. I will say that they've tried to be more equitable in the distribution of where they site these locations. But again, there are still community boards throughout the city of New York, Brooklyn and Queens, Manhattan, that have none. And the thing is, they stopped publishing that map. So I can't even tell you now if that's still true. And that's what, we had asked for certain information at the meeting that we had with DHS on August 9th. We're still waiting for that information. I haven't received it yet. But we will continue to hold them accountable. We don't want to be mean-spirited. I don't come at this, and I hope I don't come across as sounding like I want to do away with this sort of thing. As a community board, I will say that we don't have a lot of shelters. I know some people feel that way, but we don't. When you compare it to Community Board 4, Community Board 5, Community Board 2 in the South Bronx, Community Board 6, all of those community boards I just mentioned, 4 and 5 lead the city with 30 plus each. Community Board 6, Community Board 2 have 20 plus each. We have 6 now. We're not even double digits, and I'm not saying that that's right or wrong. I'm just saying that's what the number is. But again, that's why the map was helpful for us. So that's why, I like to come at this in an intelligent way, and I like to use facts to make statements. So I know that sometimes we feel like we're under siege. But to your point specifically, when a developer comes to the city, and this will be the last thing, this is America. If you have enough money, you can buy a piece of property and you can build it. A lot of these buildings now are getting the tax credit, what was formerly known as the 421A tax credit. There's no obligation to come to the community board. Alfredo will tell you, we have a building on 233rd Street, a Mark Stagg building. And if you recall, Alfredo, you had wanted them to come. You wanted Mark Stagg to come to present before the community board, hey, you're getting a tax break, come and tell us what you're gonna do with that building. The only reason he did was because of another program that he has, that he has private homes as well. In addition to all his building, he has a number of private homes. And to continue the tax abatement on those private homes, he needed city council approval. So we had told Councilmember Cohen, this was that long ago, and Councilmember Cohen squeezed him and made him appear. And they came and they spoke to us about the building. And we had the conversation with them because we were concerned that he was going to turn that into a shelter, just like he did at 3677 White Plains Road, which is one of his other buildings that he turned into a shelter. And he claimed that he wasn't going to do that. Now, the building is basically sat vacant for a year and a half, maybe? So we're waiting to see what happens, but we're still continuing to have those conversations. So it is a very convoluted issue. I don't want to take up any more of your time, but these are the types of things I think that we should be speaking about in committee and with the community about how we envision this community board to look like.
Thank you. And as George was saying, looking at it from an equitable lens, we understand that the shelters are needed, but our goal is really to push for it to be distributed equally, and then to also think of what are the resources that we will need to sustain, right, these new members of our community. And so those are things that as a board we should be thinking of. We're all resourceful and just pulling together and pulling our resources together. And then on that note, I will pass it on to our first vice chair for adjournment and prayer.
Good evening, everyone. I just wanted to say something in terms of the migrants. In this city here, at the numbers that they're coming into the city, everyone in every neighborhood in the city should be expected to absorb some of the migrants. Every neighborhood in the city should have to absorb a number of these migrants. They're still coming, and they have to live somewhere. If they're going to be in New York City, they have to live somewhere. So I'm not saying that I'm a huge fan of shelters or whatever it may be, but just know that we will be absorbing a portion of them. Right now, as George stated, we're getting the migrant camp or sanctuary in at Orchard Beach. It's supposed to be for single adults. So, and they can't, they won't be allowed to stay more than 96 hours, I believe it is, which is 4 days for processing. So just realize that we're all gonna absorb a portion of this, okay? On that note, so we're done for the evening, correct? Everyone, it's good to see everyone. Glad to be back 2.5 years later. Some things have changed on the executive committee at the board. We have new board members and we're looking to start afresh, start anew. On that note, let us look to the Lord. Lord, we just want to thank you for bringing this community together after a 2.5 year hiatus. Well, not hiatus, but Lord, we thank you for bringing us back due to the pandemic, Lord. We thank you for everyone that is here in person. We thank you for everyone that is on the line virtually, Lord. We would like to bring this community together, bring the community closer, do wonderful things for the community, make the community greater than it already is, Lord. Lord, we just want you to get everyone that is here with us this evening, here at home or wherever they may be, get everyone home safe. In your precious name we pray, amen.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.
Okay, good night, all.
Good night. I will miss the dance floor.